Chioccioli celebrated the birth of his son with victory at St Etienne, while Miguel Indurain, the race leader, enjoyed a quieter day as the race moved nearer to Paris. Well, hello and welcome to the Massif Central. We're in an area where the Tour de France has never been before, just above the village of La Bourbole. And as you can see, the weather is absolutely atrocious. And with my voice, well, I'm not getting out of the car just yet. Now, the race for the yellow jersey has become a battle between two men. But the race for the green jersey, a secondary competition, is equally a battle between two different men. Let me briefly explain the green jersey competition. It began in 1953 as a secondary contest for the sprinters of the Tour de France, and this has developed this year between Laurent Jalabert and Johan Museeuw. Yesterday it was Laurent Jalabert who took back the lead away from Johan Museeuw. He's Paul Sherwin now to explain the competition as it climaxed yesterday on the road to St Etienne.
Both Jalabert and Museeuw have equal properties as sprinters, but Laurent Jalabert is a much superior climber. On the road to St Etienne, Jalabert wanted to kill two birds with one stone. Firstly, he wanted to win the stage and gain maximum points, as he did a few weeks ago in Brussels. That's why his team worked at the front of the race, chasing the two leaders. However, once on the climb, his teammate Neil Stevens kept the pressure so high that Museeuw, the green jersey holder, was left trailing. Once at the summit, Jalabert kept up the pace. They never caught the lone leader, Franco Chioccioli, but Jalabert's fourth place gave him enough points to take the lead again in the sprinters' competition.
Let's have a look at that green jersey competition. Jalabert has a 10-point lead today over Johan Museeuw, the champion of Belgium, and Claudio Chiappucci has been so consistent. He occupies third place and is hardly a sprint finisher. Olaf Ludwig is in fifth slot. And the overall classification in the race itself, Miguel Indurain is still the leader, of course, 1 minute 42 seconds ahead of Chiappucci. Andy Hampsten third, 8 minutes 1 second down, but still a good battle there because Lino in fourth and Bunyo in fifth could well beat Andy in the time trial on Friday. Stephen Roche moved up 2 places yesterday, still well there in this tour in 9th place. Robert Miller dropped 1 place, he missed the big split, and he's down into 16th position. The rollout this morning, and the riders now heading for a very, very wet stage indeed. The route they face, once they're away from St Etienne, the road steadily climbs as it makes its way towards the department of the Puy-de-Dôme, this area where there are 60 extinct volcanoes rather, known as puys. And we go through to La Bourbole via 2 second category climbs towards the end. Laurent Jalabert this morning, now having to defend that lead he's got in the green jersey, and Johan Museeuw, the man who wants to take it from him. The first sprint today, after 32 kilometres, it made no difference. There was Girotto leading over Thierry Marie and Marc Sergeant, so no change at all in the green jersey competition, and the race heading towards the rain all of the time. The first climb at the Côte de Bellevue-Le Montague, that was a third category climb at 75 kilometres. Richard Virenque still trying to make sure of a high finish in this competition, and Ronan Pensek, the rider who fell yesterday, and Virenque's teammate, taking second place from Eddie Bowmans of the Panasonic. And one rider in jovial mood this morning, no doubt because the Alps are now behind him, and he will finish his last Tour de France. Alan Piper, a very happy man today.
Hello. Just having a sardine sandwich. We've got an easy part today. I just went back and asked the director to make me this sandwich before the action starts. Sean Yates has just put his t-shirt on. So it must mean action. It looks like rain up here anyway. Things seem to be quietening down a little bit. The guys aren't so nervous today. Well, they were in the start. But we seem to be rolling to Paris. I think everybody knows today's the last dangerous day. After that, straight to the Champs-Élysées. Party Sunday night at the Mexican restaurant. I'll be dancing on the table with Khrushchev. He's going to bring his vodka.
We're looking now at the riders as they come back together. There has been a breakaway with Yellow Nidam in it and Dmitry Zhdanov. Up the road is Peter de Klerk, but we just caught a glimpse there of Jérôme Simon, who was racing past. And there he is. This race, in fact, there's been a breakaway on, which at one stage had over 5 minutes. They have now been caught up. We're looking here at Laurent Fignon. Just seconds ago, Laurent Fignon had a puncture, and the whole of the Gatorade team has waited for him.
Well, that was a bad time to puncture because it was at the back of the climb there, and the pressure at the front has caused a few splits, so Fignon just couldn't get right back into the race, and now his teammates are trying to pace him up there. There's a little group in front, but the main field is actually a lot further up the road, so Fignon's going to have a hard job getting back into the race.
Well, as we're going up the penultimate climb here, Col de la Croix-Meuron, this is a counter-offensive being launched here in pursuit of Peter de Klerk, and Stephen Roche is actually gone. And look at this now, Eric Breukink and the polka dot jersey of Claudio Chiappucci, and also the yellow jersey of Miguel Indurain. The other rider coming up to the back here is Antonio Gonzalez, but Roche is trying to steal back a little bit more time here, and this might, you know, Paul, present Chiappucci with a jumping off point.
It may well be what he's looking for. This is one of his last chances, the last two climbs in the Tour de France, the last two major climbs, and he really would like to try and surprise Indurain. Good idea, though, to send Roche in front because Indurain will chase, but Andy Hampson's up there too. Hampson doesn't want to lose any time. He's in the top 3 of the Tour de France at the moment, and he said he wants to stay in that position and get on the podium in Paris. Roche with about 200 metres. Miguel Indurain in the yellow jersey at the front there has decided to take the race into his hands, and he's going to put the pressure on.
Well, Roche has got the lead now because they've caught and passed Peter de Klerk.
This is Jean-Francois Bernard coming to the front now. He's seen that his leader is slightly isolated. He doesn't want anything to happen to him, so he's going to set the pressure on. Let's not panic, Miguel. Stephen Roche is a long way behind us at the moment. Just keep your eye on Claudio Chiappucci, and I'll take you over the top of this climb.
Well, this has turned out to be an exciting end to what has been the first very routine day in the Tour de France, largely due to the heavy weather. The rain has been torrential. It's given us our problems too. I hope you can now hear our commentary well. But let's just to recap the situation of the day. There was 3 men who at one stage had a near 5.5-minute lead, and they were Dmitry Zhdanov of Panasonic, Yellow Nidam of the Buckler team, and Peter de Klerk of Lotto. Nidam refused to work, so Peter de Klerk broke clear when they came to this very climb here, which is the Col de la Croix-Meuron. And once on the climb, it was Stephen Roche who launched the offensive, and that has brought this race to life once again. We're now looking down here on Jean-Francois Bernard and Miguel Indurain. Then third in line, Claudio Chiappucci. Then we have Andy Hampson. The top 3 men, 1, 2, 3, in second, third and fourth position. Here they are. Second is Chiappucci, and if the camera drops back, thank you very much, there is Andy Hampson, who says he wants to keep his third place all the way to Paris. Eric Breukink, and on the other side of the road there in the pink, Neil Stevens, because he wants the rider in the green jersey, Laurent Jalabert, to survive and take more points today away from Johan Museeuw of Belgium.
He really is riding excellently, Neil Stevens, in the last few days of this Tour de France. Laurent Jalabert looks quite happy there. I think he'd like to look back down the field a little way. The field is totally exploded to find out whether the Belgian champion was there, but the world champion is definitely there, Gianni Bugno. After the hard times he had in the mountains this weekend, he seems to have come back a little bit to form, and he may well try and launch an attack on one of these next few days to try and get a top 3 place in Paris, because I'm sure that would help him save his Tour de France. He's based his whole year on this one event.
So we're coming up to the last kilometre now of the penultimate climb, the Col de la Croix-Meuron. Stephen Roche has just on 50 seconds lead, and he is now on, well, he will be shortly, just a short descent of around about 8 kilometres, 5 miles, then a much steeper climb that will bring him up to the finishing line at La Bourboule. He comes through the village a couple of kilometres before the finish, and then he climbs up into the wooded area high above the village. It is an excellent ploy by the Carreras. They may not have the yellow jersey on their team, but because they have ridden this Tour de France so progressively, this is the team that is winning most of the prizes at the moment.
And as far as I'm concerned, they've been one of the most aggressive teams as well, because if in the first part of the Tour de France, if Claudio Chiappucci wasn't attacking, then Stephen Roche was. And if this doesn't work and Chiappucci can't attack behind, it would be wonderful for Stephen Roche to go on and win the stage, because he's been so close on so many occasions. He was up there in Valkenburg, then he was up there again on the stage to Saint-Gervais, and now he's pulling everything he can to try and get to the top of this climb and put pressure on the rest of the field.
Here's the situation at the finishing line. That is what the riders, and that is all we will see when the riders come up, and that is what Stephen Roche is racing to. 20 kilometers to go for Stephen Roche of Ireland, a former winner of the Tour de France, and now enjoying his freedom to tell us once again he is still one of the best bike riders in the world. That's where we are, 192 kilometers covered, as he goes under the banner of the Col de la Croix-Mouron. And then he makes the descent and will face the last serious climb of this year's Tour de France.
Roche not taking any risks, taking the time to put his hat on because it's so cold on the descent, and there's a few days to go in the Tour de France. He's not forgetting his métier, doesn't want to get cold. Throwing a few things away there to try and lighten his load on the descent, but he's going to have to take it very careful. Remember yesterday on the descent when Ronan Pensek went down, Stephen Roche was the man who backed off a little bit and didn't want to take too many risks.
And so coming up towards the summit now, the main field, 45 seconds behind Stephen Roche, already making his way down out of the cloud again. This is the main field. We're on the Col de la Croix-Mouron, and in fact, Paul, this group has come over the top, because judging by the speed they're going, they're on the way down now. And shortly they might come into the clear again, but one thing equally as certain, they will climb back up into the cloud line once more. A very difficult job for everybody concerned on the Tour de France today, and not least the technicians that managed to bring these pictures to you from out in the countryside of the Puy-de-Dôme. And the field making a much more cautious descent, and just like yesterday when Coccioli took the benefit of the storm before the end, maybe Roche can survive this one better as well.
He may well do. He's got a good chance now that he's away alone, but behind everybody now wants to try and attack. They've got over the last climb. There's one more climb to come, and the attack's coming thick and fast. There's our friend Perini, Giancarlo Perini. What a man. He really is become known to the Italian crowds. He wasn't so well known before the Tour de France, but this year they'll definitely think about him.
And so all of the riders now over the top of the penultimate climb, the Col de la Croix-Mouron. It's the long chase down to the valley, and then the climb up to the finish, which is shrouded in mist at present. We'll take a break. Well, welcome back. This is the situation. We're on the road today to La Bourboule. Stephen Roche is still ahead, but not by far. Somewhere around 30 seconds, the last time check, as we head down now towards the town itself of La Bourboule. And then we have just 5 kilometers climbing towards the finish, where the fog is now down to less than 50 meters. This is the chase back again by the Once team. They're trying to catch the one man who slipped them today, Stephen Roche, trying desperately now to get a stage win, and it would be a very sweet victory indeed if Stephen could survive. These are the statistics today. 133 riders at the start. 2 riders we know of have abandoned the race. Rob Harmeling, the winner at Bordeaux, and also David Cassani of the Ariostoia team. We're still on that record average speed though, 39.726 kilometers an hour. Of the leaders, Indurain in yellow, Chiappucci in the polka dot with 386 points, and the battle for the green goes on. It is Jalabert leading at the moment by 10 points with 192.
Well, the gap now as we go through the streets of La Bourboule is 36 seconds to Stephen Roche, but it really is hotting up behind. Attacks are coming thick and fast. It's going to be very difficult for him to resist, but Roche is a man of great class. Once he gets onto the final time, when he was in his younger days, he was one of the best time trialists in the world. He's just got to get those qualities back out of himself for 5 more kilometers, and he can hold on to a brilliant stage victory. And here is Roche up the climb, fighting with his body now, fighting with his bike, doing everything he can to get to the top of this climb first.
So the counter-attack's beginning now. Roche is 40 seconds ahead, and this is Yvon Le Danois, a newcomer to the Tour de France in the pro ranks, and enjoying his first Tour de France, and quite a tip for the future too. He pushes on here, trying to close down on Stephen Roche. He's yet to see him. The crowd is very, very big on this climb. We'll apologise to you for all of these picture breakups today, but to bring you any pictures at all, believe me, is a magnificent job by the authorities and the French television cameras here today. Le Danois here has left the Oncé team, who have been doing a lot of the chasing here, trying to keep this race together, because we haven't seen anything of Johan Museeuw in the last hour or so of the race. I think he may well have found himself off the back as we go through now with 4 kilometers to go. And Le Danois, he deserves a good high finish on the stage of this year's Tour de France. He's turned out to be quite a discovery. But each corner he comes round, he looks up, he doesn't see the following car of the yellow Mavic neutral service behind Stephen Roche. Roche could now well be going to a stage victory in the Tour de France. He's won stages in 1985 when he won on the Col d'Aubisque. He won a stage in 1987, and at 4 kilometers to go now, there's every chance that Roche is going to win a stage here, and he deserves that for sure.
Well, as they went through with 4 kilometers to go, Yvon Le Danois was 30 seconds behind Stephen Roche, but the main field is another 10 or 15 seconds behind, so it looks as if Stephen Roche is going to get it in the bag today.
Le Danois worried about the chase behind. I think they must be coming up, because the commissaire on the left of our picture, that's the race referee, is calling by everybody, and there they are. At 4 kilometers to go, they have pulled back Yvon Le Danois, but Roche stays clear. I'm sorry we can't show you the pictures of Stephen Roche, but I'm afraid it's because he is in very thick mist, as now we have Abelardo Rondon of the Gatorade team trying to get away now. So Roche continues to set the rhythm up the mountain, the last big climb in this year's Tour de France, and he's never looked over his shoulder once. It's everything or nothing today for the Irishman.
It really is, and the confirmation is still coming through on the radio. It is definitely 1 minute lead for Stephen Roche. He's got a little bit more than 1 kilometer to go, so he's going to be with us in about 2 minutes' time. There, in fact, I think in front of us now, it's difficult to see in the fog, but there is the last kilometer for Stephen Roche, 1K to go.
The final kilometre on the final steep climb of this year's Tour de France, and an Irishman is in the lead. Stephen Roche, twice a stage winner in the Tour de France, once a winner of the Tour. You can see how steep it is now. Stephen's legs almost locked up there for a moment. Well, a mixture of pain and pleasure on the face there of Roche, and I'm sorry we can't see it as clearly as we normally do on the stage of the Tour de France, because how we are managing to give you any pictures of the Tour today, it never ceases to amaze me, the ability of the French technicians on this race. They've changed the helicopter which normally flies for an aeroplane to try and keep pictures on air. They've been largely successful, and thank heavens they have, because we're now looking at a win here for Stephen Roche of Ireland. The Dubliner racing in the last kilometre to his 3rd ever stage victory. The other two, one was in the Col d'Aubisque in 1985, and the other one was the 88 kilometres time trial in the Tour de France in 1987, when he went home to win the race overall. There is the mist. If anything, it's gone worse in the last 10 minutes, because we could see those signs reasonably not long ago. Now we are waiting for Stephen Roche to come into our view. He's gone away. I must confess, I thought at first he was under orders to attack, to try and cause a diversion for Claudio Chiappucci, his team leader. But in effect, Chiappucci stayed alongside Indurain. It wouldn't surprise me if Chiappucci has said, I can't do it because I'm too closely marked. You make a go for it today, Stephen. Because they are the greatest of friends. Roche used to race on the same team as Chiappucci when Chiappucci was a simple domestique and a newcomer. Since then, Roche has done the rounds of the big sponsored teams. This year, he came back to the Carrera team. He won for Carrera for the Tour de France in 1987. He's come back to Carrera in 1992, and he's found the secret of success once again. Stephen Roche passes through in the mist in a manner he did in 1985 when he won the mountaintop finish on the Col d'Aubisque, stage 18A then of the Tour de France. And today, he is now coming home to the finish here too. And once again, stage 16, this time for Stephen Roche of Ireland, as he comes out of the mist in the worst possible conditions, but it makes no odds. We will remember this victory for sure as Stephen Roche, the Irishman who will consolidate his 9th overall position today in this race. And this will be absolute music for Stephen Roche. He will prove to everybody that he is not finished. He is still on great form. He is still one of the great riders of the Tour de France. Professional to the end. His hack goes on. He clutching his head, he doesn't believe it, and the weather conditions, well, we can't believe that either. 5 hours, 52 minutes today for a stage which should have been a lot quicker than that. But coming up to the line now, I think this is Vyacheslav Yekimov cutting through the mist as well, as he comes up into second place. And passing through, I think, will be Gonzalez of the class team. I hope I'm right, because I can't really see these riders. As Girotto has gone through, then the battle too for the yellow jersey is there. The green jersey was just ahead of them, so he will score well today, Laurent Jalabert. He will go further ahead in that competition. But just look at this. I just hope the judges can see numbers here to place all these riders on the line as they come through the finishing line. It looks to me like it might be Vyacheslav Yekimov. We'll wait until we see the results later on. And the yellow jersey is there in about 5th or 6th position. So Jalabert has gained even more points today. He'll be happy with the way it has gone. The day has gone for him in the yellow jersey competition. But the glory today goes to Ireland and that great man from Dublin, Stephen Roche. A lone win in the mist here at La Bourboule. The stage result tonight, it makes happy reading for all of Ireland. A win for Stephen Roche. He finished just 3/4 of a minute ahead of Vyacheslav Yekimov, the former Soviet world champion. In 4th place was Claudio Chiappucci, and it's worth noting that in 6th place came Laurent Jalabert. He's increased his lead now in that green jersey competition. The bright eyes of Stephen Roche reflecting his victory tonight on the podium and being congratulated here by Bernard Hinault, 5 times a winner of the Tour de France. And straight after this, our Paul Sherwin was with him.
Stephen, was the idea pre-planned, or were we just trying to open up the road for Chiappucci?
Well, Chiappucci said he'd like to try and win today if he could, you know, but so I said, well, the only way he's going to be able to win is if I can attack in the final. But when the final meant the last hill, then I decided that, well, I'll try. It's not point letting a group going away if I could try and go with it. So when I saw Chioccioli and Simon going away on the last hill there, I tried going with them, and when I caught them, I went past them, and nobody got my wheel. So I got said it was very long, very far to the finish, but on the other hand, at least from on my own, not be beaten in the sprint.
But a last question, Stephen. You've been around looking to try and find your form for the last few years. This year you've ridden an excellent Tour de France. What do you think about next year?
Well, normally this year was preparation for next year, because haven't had a really good winter in a long time. So, you know, now I've found really good form much sooner than I thought. I'm hoping to have now to go to the end of the season, to finish the season for my first time in 5 years, and then have a good winter, and then hopefully have a very strong season next year, and possibly maybe think about stopping after that.
And the good news as well, Stephen Roche has agreed to take part in the Kellogg Tour of Britain in August, and you can see that on Channel 4 beginning on the 10th. We expect him too to bring along with him some of the big names in the Carrera team. The overall classification tonight, no change at all. Stephen Roche remains in 9th position, but he's moved that little bit further ahead of the rider in 10th. Well, the weather didn't beat us, did it? And thank heavens it didn't, because it would have been sad to have missed that memorable victory by Stephen tonight. A note on our competition, don't forget we want you to try and pick the winner on the Champs-Élysées on Sunday, and you could be in with a chance of winning the yellow jersey of the Tour de France. Here's the telephone number to phone in your entry, 0891 500 112. You can also enter by postcard, please. It must reach us by last post on Saturday. Here's the address, Fortel Tour de France Competition, 142 Lower Marsh, London, SE1 7AE. So victory for Stephen Roche, making his break on the penultimate climb of the race today. All the mountains of any height are now behind us in this year's Tour de France. Tomorrow a flatter stage as the tour goes on towards Paris. For the moment though, and let's hope for better weather tomorrow, goodbye from Paul, Gary and me.
Sono molto contento che